How much money do I need to save?
They just grabbed him and tossed him just for being foreign.
Means kind of like I'm a prostitute. Hello.
Hello.
If you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Alex.
My name is Sarah, and you've definitely seen me for the first time.
And we're here in Korea on a working holiday visa.
Yeah, and right now we are traveling around Chuncheon, and we're about to do a small little hike.
And Q&A. So if you're curious about working holiday visa in Korea, then stick around. Let's go. Whoa, wait, let me show you first. I don't think you can see much on the camera because of the sun, but it's stunning. Wow. Well, I thought I'll invite Sarah to answer the questions with me because we both have totally different experiences and the reasons why we came to Korea. So maybe my first question to you, why did you come here on a working holiday?
Probably one of the easiest visas you can get apart from like the studying visa. And two, I just desperately needed a break from work. So I wanted to come and have a fun time, and I just have been traveling around like Asia and going to concerts and meeting new friends and new people.
Me!
Getting better at Korean, hopefully.
We actually met at the Korean Hagwon.
If anyone is interested, there is a Korean learning center called Winter Korean in Hongdae. You need your own visa to sign up for it, but if you're on something like a working holiday, it's absolutely perfect. They're really flexible with their hours.
I came on a working holiday visa because first of all, I was so miserable at my London full-time job and I just wanted to escape so badly. Second of all, because I met a Korean guy and we were long distance for a year, I think. Like we were together first, then we had to be separated. And then I just thought it's a good idea to come here and just try being together.
It's easier for you to come here for a bit more long term. Because like on a working holiday, if you have like a UK passport, you can be here for 2 years.
Exactly.
So there's a bit more flexibility, especially when it comes to like job searching and things like that. You can figure out what you want to do.
Exactly. So I thought like having two different perspectives would be nice to compare, and I hope you like our little Q&A.
Hopefully don't scare you for coming to Korea, because I have some stories.
Get ready. Okay. I love Sarah because she's quoting 완전 J. I'm 완전 F. Yeah. So I don't have to plan anything. I just follow. And she's the brain of the whole operation.
I'll show you my little map. I just made a plan of like everything we were going to be doing. I pre-booked the cable car to go up the mountain, so
it's actually cheaper on Naver if you pre-book 2 hours in advance. We were thinking, why is it so discounted? But the skywalk and the second floor observatory is closed. So we basically paid only like, what was it, 14,000 won to go up to the first floor of the observatory. But it's fine. Wow. I love cable cars. So even if we can't go to the skywalk, it's okay. You can take pictures, but you can also take pictures and answer my question. What was the most difficult thing before coming to Korea? What were you most stressed about?
Probably the apartment hunting. I think that's what a lot of foreigners are thinking, because it's not so straightforward on how to find a place. I came over with a friend, but even so, you still have to do all the processes yourself. You have to figure out how to get the right stamps, the right documents. I mean, as much information as you're given on any particular embassy website, it's not the same as actually going to do everything.
100%.
So I'd say a bureaucracy.
I was scared. I mean, to be honest, because I had my boyfriend here, he already had an apartment. I knew I'm coming to him. I didn't care about that. And I knew he's gonna help me with everything, but I was scared about not finding a job, not being able to speak Korean. I was the most nervous about the Korean part, to be honest, because my Korean was really bad at the time when I came here.
Your Korean only gets better after you really practice.
Yeah, I think that's why the fact that I went immediately to Hagwon helped me so much, because even at work, when I need basic Korean, I don't think like million times what to say. Even if I make mistakes, I just do it. Whereas if I didn't have taken the class, it would have been impossible. What was one thing we wish we prepared before coming?
Ooh, I mean, there's so many things we like learned after getting here that you realize you could have prepared beforehand. Nothing prepares you for the health insurance.
I hate it so much.
It's an extra health insurance that you have to get after you've been here for 6 months on top of the health insurance or like travel insurance you already needed to apply for the visa in the first place.
Yeah.
Because the original health insurance that you get is supposed to be, it covers you for everything, but then you realize it's not good enough once you're here. And foreigners, for the most part, unless you're in full-time employment, have to pay an extortionate price for it. I think we're paying like just over 150,000 won, and you're kind of like, what use do we get out of we're paying for Koreans to go
Exactly.
to get better. We're paying for Koreans to have better healthcare as opposed to ourselves.
So we're paying every month 150,000 won is just disappearing from our accounts, and we had no idea about it.
Yeah.
So be prepared. You need way more money than you think you do.
And I think there's a real danger of overpacking when you're coming over, because you just don't know what to expect. You don't know how much things are going to cost. I kind of presumed I should bring loads of stuff, and you really don't.
I brought so many jeans.
Because anything you ever read about Korea, like as a foreigner coming over, you're like, you won't fit into any of the clothes that you have to bring over. Like, especially like if you're a woman, you have to bring over like all your pants and stuff.
You can just go to Zara or H&M. They still have our sizes. It's fine.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's just like, if you can manage to pay the prices back home for H&M and Zara, you can afford them here. The price doesn't change.
Not much, no. Let's go out first to see. Oh yeah, it is closed until
The end of December.
wow. Can you see this, guys? This is crazy. What was your biggest challenge with finding house?
I think finding like a legitimate landlord or someone that wasn't going to scam us or rip us off. You just don't know who you're going to find. Because we did Airbnb for the first month. We went to actual real estate agents, we talked to some people, we got some quotes, and it was just like, it was getting impossible. I mean, there was one place, they quoted us like 20 million for a deposit, and the place was empty. It was in Itaewon as well, which you're expecting that to be expensive, but they're only upcharging because we're foreigners, and there was nothing in the apartment. But then we decided to give Facebook a chance. Like, I'm like living with my best friend from school, and I just kind of let him do the scary thing, be a man, go find us somewhere to live. So he went and he contacted all the places. And like, the key thing is you have to go look. You have to look at the place, you have to get quotes, you have to know what you're walking into, because especially places that will renting to foreigners, because there's a lot of places that will turn you away or upcharge you, etc. Like, I literally listened to the conversation a real estate agent was having on the phone about the landlord saying no the second that they heard we're foreigners, or saying, okay, well, so long as they pay this deposit. So we found one person who had properties in Yongsan-gu, which is where I wanted to live. I just really like Yongsan in general. Because we were two people rather than just one person looking for a room, we both saved up I'll be honest, over 20,000 euro each. So we kind of just had a lot more to play with, and we found something really good. But we still went to see the property, still got to know the person before we handed over any money. And well, that was pretty much it. Facebook of all places. But be wary.
Money time. That's what everyone is asking always.
Yeah.
It's how much money do I need to save?
It's really hard to know how much you need, because students don't spend that much money, but when you're used to an income, it's hard to budget. It's hard to know how much you're really gonna need. And also Korea is not as cheap as you think, as you want it to be. It's still cheaper than home, but yeah.
Yeah, so my question is, how much do we actually spend monthly?
I would say with rent combined, between 1,500 to maybe 2,000 euro. And I only say that because like that's based on like my own savings when I'm coming here, because I'm only here for 12 months, so that's what I budgeted for. The initial figures that I was being told about was roughly about 17 to 1,900 euro. I don't know what the conversion to dollars is, but I'd say that's probably over $2,000.
Yeah.
You don't really need that much, but it makes, you're feeling comfortable with that amount of money pretty much.
Yeah, so in my case, because I earn money here, I don't earn enough. I only earn around like 600,000 won per month working weekends. I spend all that money on my bills, like health insurance, phone, transport, my singing class, because my singing class is like 200,000 won. But obviously it's not necessity. I just chose to have it. And then I spend another 600,000 won for like food. So I would say I spend around 1.5 million won a month on everything, but I don't pay rent.
Yeah, to give context, that's how much my monthly rent is, 1.5 million per month, but that's shared, so we only pay about, that would be what, 750k each like per month, so it kind of evens out.
Sometimes I have to deep into my savings, and I was earning in pounds because I used to live in London. When I first came here and I was spending and I looked like how much pound, like it was so good. Like I felt like I'm so rich. When my savings finished, it's not so fun anymore. So yeah, definitely. I think I thought it's going to be cheaper than it actually is. Exactly what you said.
I think the longer you're here, the more you start to notice things like inflation, because although things still seem cheap, then to do extra fun things on top of that, you're like, one thing I've really noticed is like coffee is more expensive than it used to be. Like the average cup of coffee is now costing between 5,000 to 7,000 won. That's Europe prices,
Oh yeah.
And to now having to pay that here, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it really adds up.
What's the most overpriced thing in Korea?
Groceries, fruit.
When you live alone, it's not worth cooking. You can go out literally every single day, and it might be cheaper than just buying groceries. Imagine in London, I was lucky to go out like once a month because how expensive restaurants are. But here, easy. What's the best value for money food?
I mean, any of the like traditional like Korean food places. Like there's a chain called Kimbap Jonguk, and they are everywhere, and anything like that. So basically they do, your bibimbap, your jjigae, or your
The basic Korean.
Very simple, but still delicious Korean food. That is how you keep costs down.
I recommend galguksu in Mangwon-sijang because it's like 5,000 won per huge bowl. And another question about money is, are foreigners paid fairly in working holiday jobs? I would say yes, because we are paid minimum wage anyways, according to the law. So because we can only do like restaurant, bars, kind of like student jobs, we just get paid minimum wage. So yeah, we are paid the same wage as a Korean person would in that type of work environment.
You're just limited to the hours you can actually work. So technically speaking, you would be earning less than a Korean, but it's not because, they're like underpaying your like hourly wage or anything.
Yeah, you can see, actually I recorded a whole video about working in Korea on a working holiday visa, so you can check it out if you're interested. What did we think would be cheap but isn't? For someone who likes K-pop, the K-pop albums and concerts are way more expensive than I thought, because before coming to Korea, I've seen so many TikToks of like, oh my god, this is like a foreigner area only with, I don't know, I spent like $10. Where? It doesn't exist. So you just pay the Korean price, like pay as much as everyone else, and it's so expensive.
The concerts these days are really expensive. Like when K-pop artists go abroad, they're obviously more expensive. I mean, you kind of make your peace with it, but there's no excuse for a basic ticket to be costing 140,000 won, and you could be sitting at the back. So that it's really, the price has really been hiked. Like we were lied to before coming to Korea. Like K-pop concerts are so cheap. No, they're not. I know exactly where my savings have been going, and it's been going towards concerts and albums. I don't do anything else with my time, so
Fair enough. It's like the easiest time you can see all your favorite artists, so why not?
I mean,
Okay, I have a question about Korean culture and etiquette. A stereotype that turned out true.
ooh, I would say, I mean, this is not just like for Korea in particular, but it's just spitting everywhere. You'll hear it as you're walking around, and you just fear that you're gonna be the one that gets spat at.
For me, it was the staring, because I've heard that happens a lot here, but I was thinking like, oh, there's so many foreigners in Seoul anyway, so like they are used to foreigners, but they still stare.
And it's so brazen. Like you can stare back and they're not gonna break eye contact with you. And I don't even think they're trying to like get your attention. Like we're not Zoom animals. We're not that interesting either.
Also, I've heard so many stories about like foreigners being kicked out of the club, and that happened to be true.
Yeah, one of my friends, I don't know how often this would happen to people, but basically it was a club in Itaewon, and you'd think Itaewon of all places, it would be fine.
Friendly, they
But
say.
my roommate and his friend, they went with a Korean friend of theirs, and at first the Korean friend was able to, convince the bouncer to let them in. And then as my friend was dancing and having a good time, he felt a hand just on his shoulder, and my friend's a big dude. He got grabbed and effectively thrown out, and they wouldn't let him go back in to get his belongings. They just grabbed him and tossed him.
For no reason.
Just for being foreign, they wanted to keep it like Korean only. I don't know. I understand from a point of view where like a lot of clubs have had issues with foreigners.
I've heard, yeah.
Always the American soldiers. They're just a bit rambunctious to put it like gently. But he just wasn't expecting it, because all he was doing is dancing. He wasn't really talking to anybody apart from his friends, but that was it.
Because I've heard about it a lot. It never happened to me because I don't go to clubs. So obviously there would.
I don't really go to clubs either, but I just keep hearing these stories, and like it gets closer and closer to home, and then all of a sudden happens to your own friends, and it's very jarring.
What were the stereotypes that like weren't true?
I would say like there are some stereotypes that Koreans could be rude. I don't think it's rudeness. I think it's direct. I think it's straightforward. I'm a very straightforward person. They just want to get going, get working. Like a lot of people might find that, I don't know, they went to a restaurant and the emo was very insistent on them. They're taking their order, and she gets annoyed, but it's not actual annoyance.
No, I think
she wants to get working. She wants to make money.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe sometimes they might seem a bit disinterested, but it's nothing personal. And I think maybe one thing, people take attitude way too personally. Myself and my roommate, we have like a restaurant near where we used to live in Seongsu where the ladies in there, they know us, they love us. Basically, there was one time we went in and like we forgot about the 쉬는 시간, and they still served us, and we were the only people that they served.
That's so cute.
They turned around so many other, because they saw us eating in there, so people would come in and they were like, oh no, go away, off you go now.
That's so cute. I also have this one emo. We go there very frequently. Every time she sees me, she like leaves her whatever she's doing. She comes to me like hugging me and like, oh, how are you? I missed you every single time, even though we're there every 2 weeks. It's so cute. I love it. But also a question that pops into my head about like living here. Do you think it's necessary to know Korean to be able to live here for like a year on a working holiday?
It's a tricky one because, I mean, for me, I've been learning Korean on and off since I was 17. And so it was like when I came here, the language part wasn't so jarring. Not that I was like fluent or anything, but I think for my friend who didn't have a word of Korean, you can get by for sure. Right now, if you came over to live and you didn't speak any Korean, you could probably get by.
Yeah.
5 years ago? No, absolutely not. 10 years ago? Don't even think about it. I think it is vital you learn something because there are just like elements of Korean living you're just going to miss out on, or it's just going to be unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah.
Like, it's still difficult to make phone calls. It's still difficult to go into the bank. Like, nothing's easy. when I went to the bank a few months ago to sort out my card, the lady really had to dumb down her Korean for me because she didn't speak English, so we had to communicate somehow.
Yeah.
She said afterwards, Korean's really difficult, isn't it? I was like, yes.
But
yes, it is.
I never expect anyone to speak in English because I made the choice to come to Korea, okay? But sometimes in some cases, like for example, doing the health insurance, there's a specific office for foreigners. So if you're a foreigner, you have to go to that specific office, and they didn't speak a word in English. And I'm like, but it's a specific office for foreigners. Like, in places like this, I get it. Like, at least basic English would be nice.
It's the same in the immigration office, actually. Like, their English, they don't really have a lot of English.
No.
And it's the same with the health insurance office, because like we had to just go out to it. Like, we couldn't really phone because we didn't know what to expect. And actually, there is an English helpline you can phone, and they're very helpful. They are very fluent, but these people don't work in the office themselves. On the topic of insurance, like, there's a few methods you can pay, but basically the two main ones are either direct debit or they post a letter to your house, and then you can go pay that in the bank or like any bills. You can go to like the convenience store and things like that. Alex didn't have quite an easy time because they didn't even bother to send her a letter about anything.
I honestly had no idea that I have to pay anything like medical insurance. Sarah was the one that showed me the letter, and I got my letter a month after I was supposed to pay. So basically, they were like, "Oh, you just have to pay double now for a month, before." And I'm like, I had no idea. Like, if I knew, I would have went to the doctor and then used my insurance already. But they were like, "Oh, sorry, we didn't send you a letter. You kind of have to know it yourself." And I'm like, okay.
There is nothing about health insurance when you're applying for your visa. No one tells you until it's your problem, and then you find out the hard way. I also didn't receive a letter, and it was only because my roommate did that we even knew what was happening, because we presumed we didn't pay into it because we were like working holiday. Why on earth would we have to take out this expensive insurance if we then still had to pay the national health insurance? It's bureaucracy.
Ugh, yeah, let's finish this topic because I'm getting angry just thinking about it. It's so much colder than I thought, so I'm not really prepared properly. Ooh, it's really cold. I think the winter's coming. Finally! I hate winter!
Yeah, but it's better than this.
Is it? We're going to eat dakgalbi for dinner because it's the famous Chuncheon meal. I said it is. While waiting on a bus.
That may or may not exist.
That may or may not exist, exactly. You never know. Outside of Seoul, it's never...
I don't even know. It's just on standby. I don't even know what standby means in this country.
Literally. I mean, there's a lot of people waiting, so I assume it's a good sign. If not, we're just gonna call a taxi. Taxis are pretty cheap. But while we're waiting for a ghost bus, I'm gonna tell you a funny story regarding my wrong Korean translation. Because basically, the emo that I told you about, the one that always asks me questions and like cares, how I'm doing, she knew I'm looking for a job, right? So next time, after getting job at the craft beer little local bar, I saw her and I wanted to say like, oh, I got it, like I'm working at a bar. So the direct translations in my head was bar is a 술집 and to work is 일하다. So I said 술집에서 일해요. And she looked at me with like the biggest shock face, and I was like, what do you mean? And my boyfriend was like, no, she doesn't work in, no, she works in a 맥주집, alba, like an alba, right? And she was like, oh, relieved, like, oh my god, thank god. And then she left, and my boyfriend was like, do you know what you said? And I'm like, no. He told me that apparently the meaning of 술집에서 일해요 means kind of like I'm a prostitute, which that is, well, definitely not the case. So,
I think we should cut our losses and get a taxi.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, I would say like buses, transportation is great in Seoul. Outside of Seoul, very questionable. If we can get a taxi, I have a taxi related question. You're gonna hate me for all these questions. Do taxi overcharges foreigners?
If you don't use an app or they can tell you don't speak a word of Korean, absolutely.
I actually have a little story because when I was picking up my family from the airport, we needed the extra large taxi because we were more than 5. And I went to one of the taxi drivers, and immediately he saw foreigners. He was like, 100,000 Seoul. And I was like, 잠시만요. And I checked the Kakao app, and I was like, really? 100,000? And I showed it to him, and he was like, okay, I'll drive you for this. And I'm like, thank you. So yes, if you don't know Korean and you don't have an app to compare the actual price to, they will overcharge you. But I feel like every country is the same. Our most hated soap. We're on our way back, but I haven't seen this soap in a while, to be honest.
They have switched over to maybe more for
Hygienic?
it's the most jarring thing when I first moved to Korea.